The most prevalent criticism made of horror films is that audiences go in anticipating a soul-shaking experience, but come out the other side largely unfazed. It wasn't even scary, it kept on building up to something, but nothing popped out or anything. Okay, so what defines scary? There is a difference between something which makes you jump and scream, and something which chills you to the core, burning a lasting impression on your mind. The moment you fling your arms into the air is not the horrific part, it was the build up to that. The part which made you raise your hands to cover your eyes in the first place. And just because that jump scare you anticipated never came, that does not mean that the film is not scary. That suspension, that dread had an effect on you. That is the horror. Not the monster which bursts from the shadows, but the unbearable discomfort which preceded it. You turned your face away for a reason, and that reason was fear. A fleeting moment of panic is not scary. If I was to jump out from behind a corner, you would probably scream because it's a natural reflex to do so. But would you even remember it that following day? Something which truly frightens you refuses to leave the mind so easily. You carry it with you for days, weeks, months, maybe forevermore. Take a look at Jaws, a film full of frights, but the most scarring of all is the sunken boat scene. It doesn't even involve the shark, but it is the way in which the head protrudes from the wreckage that turns the blood cold. Every time I see it, its power to disturb remains just as strong as it was upon first viewing. The terror can be credited to the timing. It strikes a perfect chord because you anticipate the head to emerge several moments either before or after it actually does. When we feel as if the film is stealing power of control from us, it causes a freak-out reaction. Other examples of the lasting effect coming into play can be seen in the Blair Witch Project and its ambiguous supernatural ending. Once audiences see that dude standing in the corner, totally unresponsive to the screams of his friend, so many questions circle our minds, but none are answered. Why won't he talk back? What has the Blair Witch done to make him this way? Is there a Blair Witch at all? Or have they all gone mad? Which brings me to It. I work in a cinema, so I hear the audience reaction to a lot of movies, and in the case of It, the Beverly jump scare is often heralded as the scariest part by the younger, modern audience. But it is not the scariest part. It's probably the bit which made you spill the most popcorn, but the most fear-inducing moments of It exist within its scenes of quiet, which slowly swell to a crescendo of nerve-jangling images. The most terrifying moment of It doesn't even feature Pennywise. It's the moment when Ben flicks through the pages of the town history book and finds the severed head of a boy, his age, lodged in the branches of a tree. What makes one scene scarier than the other involves audience expectation. Pennywise popping up to grab you is certainly jumpy, but expected. Of course he would do that. What else would a killer shape-shifting clown do? All of your questions are raised and answered immediately, because it makes perfect sense. But the history book scene, now that's just weird. It disturbs us with that lasting impression because there are so many unanswered questions surrounding it. Why was the head in the tree? Where is the rest of the boy? Most distressingly, why did the photographer think it necessary to take so many pictures, each zooming closer and closer on his distorted face? It's unnatural. That's what makes the difference. When things twist outside our perception of normality, our minds have a very difficult job with keeping up, and so our immediate reaction is one of fright. We fear what we don't understand. Modern audiences have become so accustomed to the jump scare model of horror filmmaking that nothing else registers as being scary. Not to say that there is no merit to be found in today's horror landscape. James Wan displays some masterful strokes at heightening the haunted house subgenre with the Conjuring franchise.
Sleep. And I'm talking.
But what has resulted because of it is mass rejection of movies which rely heavily on atmosphere and a rising sense of danger to terrify, in place of the overtly and stereotypically horrifying imagery. Films like The Witch, It Comes at Night, or The Babadook, these movies play with reality, insofar as questioning just how real each of their titular monsters are. The horror here comes from observing characters as they enter a spiral descent of circumstance. The violent unravelling of their psyche, that's what's key. not the ghoul hiding in the shadows. The potential for said creatures to jump from the surrounding darkness adds to the tension, no doubt, but the element which acts as the driving force of the horror is watching a family tear each other apart. And the reason for why we find that so scary remains the same as before. It's just not normal. Since the dawn of mankind, we have employed a tribe mentality. Whether it be a tight-knit family or an entire civilization, community based on trust and emotional connection is the secret ingredient to both our survival and ability to grow as a species. But when that dynamic is dismantled, chaos ensues. Human tribe mentality is on full display in Under the Shadow, as a mother single-handedly attempts to protect her child in a world ravaged by war and political regulation. The integrity of their relationship is put to the test as they encounter persecution and harassment at the hands of the Tehran army, and unbearable stress as their tower block home is invaded by a demonic presence which came crashing through their ceiling on a missile which failed to detonate. See, Under the Shadow is not like The Witch or Babadook. Not because it doesn't have a ghostly spectre to show us, it does, but because it conforms to our perception of normality. Demons are supposed to torment and kill us, but a family is supposed to look out for its members. They don't turn on one another, threaten each other with violence, or murder the family dog. In other words, I think one of our greatest fears is to believe that monsters only exist outside the comfort of our homes, only to realise that we've been living with them the entire time. And even if that moment of revelation doesn't make you jump out of your seat, it is perhaps the most frightening of all. But what do I know?
How do you like it?